It is finally here after waiting since December, I would say, for news on what's coming from D&D in 2026. We're now in March 2026 and we finally know some of it, not all of it, at least. Welcome to the Bardic Quest Talk Show. We'll be talking about all of that and possibly some more stuff, including D&D 2024 rebranding later today. Rebranding. We'll cover that if we have time later, but the bulk of this is we now have a roadmap for D&D 2026 releases, which is our main topic today. Obviously, Anina and Callum joining me here, as always, as we break this down and get to nerd out as D&D fans rather than actual play cast members today, which is always nice. I'm sure there'll be many things and many opinions on what is coming that we'll be covering, so if you do have any opinions, please do drop them in the comments and let us know what you think, because I am very curious as to exactly what everybody thinks. So let's jump straight into all of this. As predicted, this was announced all at GAMA yesterday at the time of recording. Hopefully I'll get this video out today. But this here is our roadmap for 2026. A few interesting tidbits here, which I'm sure we will get into. They've included, obviously, the D&D Beyond stuff, which maybe we can get into later. The real good stuff is this stuff at the top here. Ravenloft's The Horrors Within book coming, and Arcana Unleashed as well, which is actually going to be 2 books here, which I'm very excited for. We obviously had whispers of a Ravenloft book coming, because in playtest material, middle of last year I think it was when they started to release sort of horror-based classes. You had the Artificer that could create flesh golems, essentially, and the Necromancer Wizard, which presumably is all going to be in here. I've got some more details on specific stuff later, which is courtesy of EN World, which you'll be able to see. But here are the covers. Look at those. Don't they look sweet? I actually think I prefer the standard cover, though, here.
Yeah.
I prefer the standard, which is really rare. I'm not sure of the art style choice. I feel
cover?
like I'm going to watch a wholesome cartoon that happens to be a Black Knight. Well,
yeah, that art cover feels a little bit Gendy Tartakovsky to me on the alt cover, which I don't know if I want for a Ravenloft book, I'll be honest.
I agree, not really the genre, but very excited. Surprisingly.
Yes. Yeah, the resident goth excited for a gothic horror D&D book.
I mean, they put a sexy vampire on the cover. They saw me coming.
And my god, can we say Strahda's had a glow up? Like, don't we think
those plasma treatments have really paid off for him?
Cheekbones and a half.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I swear he's had hair plugs too. That receding hairline was...
Has he killed Andy Samberg?
A hot Andy Samberg, yeah.
But this is coming, what they say, in spring, which is a bit of a stretch considering it comes out in the middle of June, which by my reckoning is summer, but okay.
You can press the pre-order button in spring.
Yeah, I guess it is just before the summer equinox, isn't it? That's like 21st of June, isn't it?
I always consider June to already be summer.
I agree. Yeah. I love when corporations are like, yeah, coming in 2026, and it's like the 31st of December. And it feels a little bit like that. Yeah, but they're claiming it's spring, so we'll accept that for as read.
We get your money in spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But kicking off, now this is an interesting thing. This season of horror. I'm sure we might get into a little bit more detail as to what these seasons actually mean, because I noticed there was an article on EN World about this. But this season of horror happening in the spring, which is a choice.
Do you think they're worried about other IPs maybe getting in there with the new Arkham Horror role-play game came out?
And is that coming out? When's that officially?
It's already
officially
out? Because I got that through Asmodee. They're the distributor.
To be honest, I don't know if there's enough.
That's H.P. Lovecraft, so they might be like.
I mean, it is, but I just don't know if there's enough talk about it that it's going to be that they're going to be making these sorts of big decisions around Ravenloft.
It
could be wrong.
As genres go, horror is I know it's the best. It's the most profitable indie film genre. Like horror as a genre sells.
Oh yeah, horror. Horror sells. That's
horror sells
there.
really well. So it could be that they're like, let's put money into that. They've looked at Baldur's Gate and gone, everyone loves Astarion. Let's put more vampires in everything.
Maybe. I think maybe it's just that they're. Oh, do you know what? I don't know. To me, I can't make it make sense, but it's fine. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. I'm happy there's a Ravenloft book coming. Mm-hmm. Where it comes in the calendar, I suppose, is not important. It was just interesting that they chose spring for their season of horror, but okay.
Maybe they have some.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was meant to be earlier and they just weren't ready. So they were like, just.
I did think that, because obviously there's been a lot of reshuffling going on. Mm-hmm. But then I look at the release schedule for last year, and sort of October time was packed already with the Forgotten Realms books, and Eberron was delayed and stuff. Or maybe the Eberron delay might have done it, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Or they have something already lined up for October this year. So they're like, get this one out for another.
Yeah, it's just an interesting choice. I do have a little bit more detail on what is in this book, because obviously it's a return to the Domains of Dread. And I'm just going to swap my shared screen here if I can.
I want to see.
And it gives the EN world, because there's a little bit more artwork to look at here as well. So there's your sexy Strahd picture. But look at this! Look at those lovely black pages.
Ooh,
hang on. Look at the lovely black pages. I am here for that.
Same. Very nice.
That looks like a sexy book. And look! Cthulhu. Cthulhu's coming. Cthulhu's coming.
Better have a really good stat block.
I was talking about this on our Discord. CR25 is probably my guess, based on what I can see of that, which is not much. It's a 385 HP, 19 AC, spell save DC 25.
But
depends on what's on the bottom half of those sheets.
It doesn't. They've not given much.
You don't know what legendary things that thing has got.
Oh, there you go. The book features Cthulhu as a Dark Lord, hinting at a CR range of around 25. There we go. But yeah, what they've talked about here on this article is some of the things that they've talked about at GAMA about what is in this particular book, which is that it's going to feature horror-themed subclasses, which we knew, species, including the damphir, which we've already had in Astarion's Book of Hungers, but that's going into print now, rather than digital only, which is not a bad thing. The hexblood, which is from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. The lupin, which I don't believe was in Van Richten's Guide, but that's obviously like a werewolf type
that's
species.
A werewolf type species.
Mm-hmm. And then the reborn, which is like the
previous episode.
I know.
Come on.
I don't know if a character species is what I want for my werewolf fantasy, though. I'm just saying.
Then what?
But yeah, so we
could be even tougher. Fura.
Yeah, I just don't know if I want I want my species to be my species, and I want my werewolfness to be a curse or something, rather than it's just
you don't want Twilight werewolves.
Yeah,
please watch season 1 of Bardic Quest. The context.
Right. So there's also going to be new backgrounds and dark gift feats for players. I'll probably touch on that in a minute, because I have thoughts. Along with details about Dark Lords and their Domains of Dread, with allies, including stat blocks for Rudolph Van Richten. Multiple genres of horror will be covered, including gothic, dark fantasy, cosmic, and the occult.
I like that. I want to see more. The occults really interest me. And I like that they have flavors of horror and not just one genre of horror.
I've done a lot of speaking at this point about what is there. So what are your thoughts so far?
Well, we love a spooky.
Yeah, I would love to see what the dark gift feats are for players.
Yeah.
I think they'd be really fun to make a character purely. That's dark featsy. Darkish, because I kind of half had that in mind for our mini-series for Taylor. That was is it a curse? Is it a gift? Kind of thing. So it'd be really interesting to read what the dark gifts are, and if they're feats with sort of a gothic feel, or if they are actually like maybe hard to do mechanically, but I would love to have abilities that actually have a negative effect in the long run. If you use them too much, I would love...
I think there needs to be with dark feats a cost.
Yes.
It needs to have some form of a double edge, some form of, it's a bargain. Do you know what I mean? No, you're not just granting these things for...
This is where my thoughts come in, because this is where I'm worried. So I'll be very interested to see how they present them, because in fact, have we got, is that page spread here? Oh no, that's species. I'm worried that, what was that, sorry, Anina?
It's probably lupin, the art behind it.
Yeah, I think so. I was just worried that, so for example, we've seen with the Eberron book that they've changed dragon marks from something which were kind of feats, but they were locked behind species prerequisites and things because of narrative. I'm worried that I don't want dark gifts turned into feats, basically, is my worry. Because dark gifts aren't really feats. They are similar to feats, and I can see why from a design point they might be like, let's turn them into feats, but they're not. The difference I think between something like a dark bargain or a dark gift as they exist now versus a feat is the dark gift gets offered to you by the DM, not is available to you just because it's in a book.
That's a really nice point in a game, to have the choice as a player to be given. Do you take it or not? Yeah, I do agree to a degree. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I hope that's not how they've gone down that route, but I'm worried that if they do go down that route, dark gifts are gonna, because the problem is if you put it in a feat that any player can that any player can have if you say it's available in that book. And this is a wider problem for me as well, I suppose, in many ways. It then becomes a thing where it's, I've leveled up, so I'm taking the feat. And it just loses narrative weight. It loses its magic.
That's how I feel about this.
Yeah.
I think you'll also have, a certain issue of if you can just pick it at any point and you're asking players to create a level 5 character or whatever, the edgelords are going to be I'm playing a chaotic evil.
Yeah.
And the game is empowering me to do... I think it needs to be something where the DM has found a really nice narrative moment where the players have to make a moral bargain, a moral decision. Do they go against their vows, or do they sully themselves with dealing with demons or dark patrons to get them over the line?
Yeah, and it's not to say that as a DM you can't do those sorts of things.
No, of course not.
Like, I do the idea of putting things behind what I'd call a narrative lock, where it's like, it's available in the game, but you can't get it because you've leveled up. You're going to have to find it. You're going to have to work it out.
It should be exciting when they come along.
Class,
right.
To a specific class at a certain level, then you can... The DM has the choice of... Now I can put it in narratively with the sort of, do you take it, do you not?
Yeah. And that becomes more fun then, right? Because you're powering up through exploration of the world, which is how I think it should work.
Yeah.
But what we've seen with D&D 2024 particularly, or rather 5.5, as it is now officially referred to, which we'll get into later.
This is my question.
We'll get into it later. But what we're seeing a lot with 5.5 and 5e generally is that they're starting to show a real allergy to prerequisites. And I don't think that's the right direction. I think that's the wrong direction. Because, as I said, it takes the magic out of some of those things of, oh, I need to work to get that thing. Now it's just like, hey, I've leveled up now, so I get the thing. And it's that kind of thing of, it's like, wanting what you can't have is part of the excitement when you're building a character. For me, anyway, I know that not everybody's the same, but I've talked about like prestige classes from 3rd edition where you had a list of 5 or 6 things you had to achieve before you could get your prestige class, which is essentially your subclass.
Because if everything's too easy to get, okay, cool. I think it becomes boring if it's too easily attainable. It's that thing.
Yeah.
You value the things you have to work for. Exciting. Whereas if it's, I don't know, you're a farmer, and now would you like to also be a vampire overlord? Because you cut enough tree trunks, I don't know. Insert something you could get XP from.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. That was the thing that jumped out at me most about this book. The other thing, though, and I'd love to get your feelings on this, is this feels too close to Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we continuing with previous Ravenloft and it's more? Or is it...
Well, what they have been doing is they have been like updating timelines and stuff, but the Domains of Dread are a little bit different because they're on a kind of almost separate timeline in of themselves in many ways. So moving the timeline forward, and I don't want to say too much because it's spoilery, but it's difficult to move the timelines forward in the Domains of Dread. But the species that are in this new Ravenloft book are the species that are in this book, plus the lupin. And the dark gifts are in here. There's 2-page spreads on each of the genres of horror, and all of them are covered. And if I go through this list of things they say here, horror-themed subclasses, there's a couple in here, but that's it. Which, okay, that's an improvement. Species, as I say, all but the lupin were in here. Backgrounds, obviously backgrounds are different and new, so that's good. Dark gifts in here. Details on the Dark Lords in here. Allies in here. Details about the different genres in here. So 75% of this book feels like a rehash, which I can understand to a degree because this was written for D&D 2014.
That's what I say. It's like a new and improved now for...
But yeah, is it providing enough difference?
Yeah.
This was printed 5 years ago. 5. That's no time at all, really, to be reprint. And there's a lot of that happening, of like reprints of stuff, which I don't mind so much if they're like re-releasing these species in a book that is different in concept on a micro level. Yeah, it might be a Ravenloft book, but it's okay. Here's something new to add to supplement this. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. That I'm all on board with. But retreading old ground is what I'm worried this is going to be too much of.
I basically expected the exact same books, just tweaked for the rule changes for 5.5. That's what I expected. Completely.
So we might actually is like that picture of Strahd. They've just taken it and given it a bit of a facelift.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I guess it begs the question, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
Because I will say the stat blocks in Curse of Strahd need to be redone. Don't hold up in 2014. No. So that is needed. So I hope that there's enough like monsters and stuff and NPCs where they've... I presume we're going to get a new Strahd stat block, for example, which we don't have for 2024 and things like that.
I think it's needed for some players. I think I personally, I'm not a stat block maker. That is not where my strengths lie. I'm very much a narrative-driven person. So if I had to take something, here's what it was in 5, make it work in 5.5, I would struggle. But also, is that worth an entire new book? I would probably hit up one of my GM friends who are fantastic at stat blocks and go, hey, would you help me out? I think I'd do that. Or there could be an online thing of like, how would you tweak this to fit this module? This edition.
Yeah.
That's my thinking, because I am like, I am not I am a writer, not a sort of technical game designer. And people who are more tech switching stats, easy peasy. See what I mean? For them, they can be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know how to make the challenge rating work and level. Whereas I will ask one of several friends to go help me out. I have no idea what numbers it should be. But
yeah, and I do see the value of that for sure.
Is it worth an entire book facelift release?
Yeah. Is it a meeting that could have been an email sort of thing? Is it something that they could have just released, like those stat blocks, been like, hey, here's some updated stat blocks released on D&D Beyond or something like that? You just have to hope that there is enough new content in there that we go, oh, actually, get this.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Because I do Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. One thing I will say is I think the overall layout, the way they design D&D 2024 is much better than the 2014 stuff. It feels like things are easy to compartmentalize, remove out, and then plug and play a little bit more. Things feel a little bit more piecemeal in the way that they do things. And they refer to, so if you have a look on the, oh no, it's on the other page, isn't it? The actual main cover. At the bottom of the Ravenloft book, it has a little thing saying it's a gameplay expansion. And they're labeling all the books, which I don't think is a bad thing. They're labeling all the books as different types of books. So you've got gameplay expansions, you've got adventure expansions, you've got dungeon master expansions, player expansions.
That's a good
and they're giving them those kind of...
That's a really good call.
I think so too. I think so as well. So hopefully, if they take that approach, because the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft feels a little bit more like a very light touch campaign source book.
Yeah.
I'm hoping what they do in this, because they're calling it a gameplay expansion, I'm hoping is going to have some more kind of like rules systems that you can plug in to the core rules to really hype up. Because a lot of the stuff about genre in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft is, here's the kind of way you describe things, and here's the themes. It'd be nice for them to be like, here are some rules that you can use to bring out the gothic horror, or bring out the cosmic horror. That'd be nice. You give me that, and I will accept it as a rehash.
Yeah, if there's some, say, the occult, you've got, in a way, harsher rules, because you do this thing, this is the really bad thing. So the risk level, rather than harsher rules, let's call it risk level, goes up. I think that would make it actually feel like a different genre of horror. Because then you've got you've got your gothic, you've got your dark fantasy, and then you've got the sort of survival horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, because at the moment I know people who have decided to run like a gothic or a horror but campaign, and they will often borrow mechanics from other games to utilize in that, to use like, well, whether it be a fear factor, whether it be madness, whether it be this. I think leaving that space open without taking the opportunity in a book like this to go, right, let's actually address some ways that you can really lean into that without having to homebrew or borrow from other from our competition.
Yeah, there's a cyberpunk system that has a fantastic trauma counter, and
nice.
And the longer you play, at least, it's very likely you pick up more and more trauma, and things.
Yeah, which is Call of Cthulhu as well in that sense as well.
Trauma, and then you actually do have to decide what your trigger, and it's based on what happened to you, what you got trauma from. It's that in a horror thing to be actually quite immediate would be amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think generally I'm intrigued by the Ravenloft book. I think it will be interesting, so long as it doesn't just rehash too much of Van Richten's guide and provides some new stuff. I think it will be okay. That being said, credit to Wizards where credit is due. So far, books that people have been worried are going to be rehashes have brought enough new things to the table to be like, okay. Like, I love the new Forgotten Realms books, even though we've already had so many Forgotten Realms books. I actually think they're really good, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. But yes, but just wanted to touch on this as well briefly. To accompany this season of horror, they are going to be releasing some accessories, a new version of the Tarokka deck actually being officially released by Wizards, I think now.
I read
Hopefully it'll be in
completely. It says a new version of classic tarot-esque fortune cards. I read two cards. I was like, what?
To be fair, there is a typo there.
Yeah.
I think it's meant to say fortune, and it's gone fortune.
Yeah, I was like,
tarot-esque torture cards.
I mean,
they're serrated.
That edition would sell as well. The sort of like proper horror. Here's some torture cards.
True.
Now
they're also releasing now this
Wizards of the Coast.
They're also releasing, which really grabbed my attention, an official Ravenloft DM screen. Now, they have said here we don't know what's going to be on it. If it's just going to be a copy of the previous internal DM screen or a Ravenloft artwork.
It's just going to look a little bit sexier.
Yeah.
In the castle of facelift.
Yeah. I hope it has, because the DM screen that is tailored to what you're running, I have an Out of the Abyss one. And having a tailored DM screen for what you're running is really useful. Really useful if you're playing in person.
I'm not the target market for this because you can get some beautiful ones made with like magnetic pieces. My husband has a stunning one.
Oh, I've got a custom one as well.
It with magnets. It's carved out of wood. Like, it's just not gonna. After that, I don't have a personal one yet. I'm sure the day will come. A cardboard one just doesn't quite cut it for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I've got a wooden one as well.
Gorgeously. His has, it looks like stained glass on the outside. Yeah, I married another goth. No one's surprised.
But what I will say, though, to counter that, as somebody that also has a personalized DM screen and a wooden one, is the differences, and what I did miss when I started using that instead of my Out of the Abyss one for my Out of the Abyss table, is that artwork is like a backdrop on a stage. And it really sets the tone for what the players are seeing as they're looking towards the DM. It sets a real good vibe. So if the artwork is right on the other side, it can work really well. And then obviously on the inside, having things that are campaign specific, which of course with a custom DM screen, you can just attach those things anyway. But it's a good alternative, I'd say. Particularly if you are the sort of DM that just runs Ravenloft stuff.
I see the value if you run several different ones weekly and just pick the one you need.
Yeah.
I am not the target. Yeah. Don't get me for your market research. On that specific.
And then they're going to release some map packs as well, so you can get some poster maps and two token maps. I don't really know what a token map is as opposed to a double-sided poster map, but I'm sure more will be clearer. I'm liking the fact that he's getting back into the accessory game again.
Yeah.
We like things.
I like tangible things. And yeah, I love props. I've got a Tarokka deck already. Yeah, give me more props and things, and I'm all in. I don't buy them all necessarily, but I certainly go, "Ooh, shall I spend?"
I want you to at least try to seduce me with Wizards of the Coast.
Exactly, at least
me
try.
Peasant with your gifts and offers.
So then that covers basically the season of horror, which is all very exciting. But then I don't think that's the really interesting stuff that's coming out. Actually, I think that's the thing I'm least excited about.
Season of horror, and
because then we move.
That's what I'm saying. Season. I'm like.
Okay, that's a good point, because let's talk about these seasons, because there is a little bit more detail as being reported by EN World on what these seasons are, if I can find it. Where is it? 2026 D&D seasons and revised organized play. So I don't know, I can't remember when you two got into 5th edition. But in the early days of 5th edition, they had, with the Adventurers League, which is the organized play thing, they had seasons which were based around the hardcover adventure that had come out at the time. So you had a season of Tyranny of Dragons, you had a season of Princes of the Apocalypse, and they had adventures like this that were downloadable, that were sent to game stores basically to run little, well, essentially mini adventures, like Defiance in Flan, for example. Defiance in Flan is actually an Adventurers League Tyranny of Dragons season set of adventures, and it looks to me like this is a return to that, but rather than linking it to necessarily a hardcover book, though obviously there are themes that are linked, they're being a little bit more general. So this season of horror will obviously cover, so that's running from April through June, anchored by Ravenloft Horrors Within, a new source book, blah 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 blah. Organized play during Season of Horror will focus on Ravenloft and horror. So yes, they're theming the adventures that they release through the organized play initiative around these various things. So we've got Seasons of Horror, which will have those adventures plus Ravenloft Horrors Within and all of the accessories. And then from July through to September, we move into Season of Magic, which is going to be anchored by the Arcana Unleashed sourcebook and its companion adventure, Arcana Unleashed Deadfall. No announcements on any peripheral products, but new reference decks for spells are coming out, and magic items. They're officially coming out, which we've had from third-party publishers before, but now it looks like these are coming from Wizards of the Coast.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we'll make it official.
Yeah, which is nice. I'm glad they're doing it. Yeah, as I say, try and seduce me, Wizards. Try and seduce me. And then after that, we go into Season of Champions, which I've not really talked about. But there is an unconfirmed book on that release schedule that I showed at the beginning of the video. Ian World reckons maybe the Dark Sun book, maybe. But that's going to run from October until the end of December. Yeah, so these seasons are about organized play, basically. And then the rest of the article goes into what organized play was in the past and things like that. But yeah, I thought that context might be a little bit helpful for you. So let's talk about Arcana Unleashed, because this looks fun. Yeah, so Arcana Unleashed is
with that second astral dragonish. I'm like, right. I want to know immediately what spell that is. Is that an astral companion? High magic also hits with me. I want to know. Yes.
Arcana Unleashed, I think, is for you then, Anina, because
it is.
They're going down that route of what I hoped they would, which is themed books. Yeah. So high magic basically being the theme here. Sorry, you sound like you had some thoughts, Anina, so go ahead.
No, just if the book art matches the vibe, I think it will. I think they've been very good at usually matching the arts to the vibe in their previous books. So I'm seeing an astral dragon, maybe something more cosmic. It's cosmic, and I'm like, ooh,
look at that!
Interesting. Yeah, I want to know. I want to know what these spells are.
Just flicking through the gallery here. Can I draw attention to this beautiful alt cover here?
That's lovely.
That looks like a mother flipping spell book.
Yeah, I like it.
And this, to me, is what an alt cover should look like.
Yeah.
It should look like an ancient tome. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm buying this just for the alt cover at this point. Yes. And it looks like it's going to be like pearlescent as well and shimmery, which even more I'm like, oh, give me shiny.
I hope it's textured, those ridges.
Yeah, they normally are. They do normally texture the alt covers. I imagine there will be something.
They're literally like, look at the shiny. Look at the shiny. Come and get the shiny.
But if it means
what you wizards want,
if all I need to do is spend an extra £5 for a fancy, sexy cover like that, yeah, take my money.
I couldn't get the fancy cover of the 2014. Couldn't get it. It was out of print.
2014 one. Yeah.
I'm sad.
I know. I'm salty about a lot of them as well. But yeah, some of this artwork is beautiful. As always, like One thing that they have done beautifully, there's the cover art for Deadfall, which we'll talk about
Amazing.
in a little bit more detail in a minute.
I think you're into your liches, Wayne.
That is Saztam, I believe.
Oh, Saztam.
Yeah.
Of the Red Wizards of Thay. And
Yes.
Deadfall is looking like it's going to be a Thayan wizard-based adventure with the Red Wizards as and probably Saztam as the big bad.
Yes, I think you're right. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Arcana Unleashed, there's Arcana Unleashed and then Arcana Unleashed Deadfall. We'll talk about Deadfall in a minute. But Arcana Unleashed basically is a high magic-based book. That's the theme. We've had like dragons and giants and things like that before. The theme here is just high magic.
2 backgrounds are interesting. Listed. Dawn Experimenter. Tell me more.
And the Covenant of the Grave Recruit.
I mean, that's some form of necromancer, I'm going to guess. Some form of...
The thing I love about... One thing I do
slave.
love, I had my reservations about the background thing and the changes they made to backgrounds in 2024 or 5.5. I've got so used to saying 2024 now, it's going to take me a while to adjust to 5.5. But I tell you what, I get really excited now when I see new backgrounds coming in a book, because I'm like, that means there's going to be new feats, and I love the packaging of the backgrounds, shall we say, now.
The names of the feats that they've popped in there.
The first one sounds like
Arcane Undertaker.
Yeah, that sounds like a great wrestler.
Right?
The Arcane Undertaker.
The Arcane Undertaker. Mark Calloway in his second form.
I've got that's the Undertaker that has the lightning.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Transmuted Anatomy.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Right.
There's many ways they could go with that.
A very scary type would be if you could make your opponents, if you control parts of their body, which that's what
wow. Yeah, no,
maybe not what they mean. But I think that's
I was
very
thinking about
scary...
being able to mutate yourself, but the idea of being able to be like, duck legs.
Yeah.
Well, they've talked about...
That's funny too.
They've talked about some of the spells here, and they've given a little bit of detail of some of the spells. The Battle Familiar sounds fun. Beefing up a familiar with a transmutation spell. Presumably, if it's a Battle Familiar, allowing your familiar to actually fight, which would be fun.
Tattooed Warrior. Calm down. That's a bad...
Oh, yeah.
That's a bad...
That's the subclass,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tattooed.
We'll come to the subclasses in a sec, I think.
Like, I couldn't...
But we got... What? No, it's all right. It's all right.
I was
It's fine.
offended by the name.
It's fine. But we've got a few they've given some detail on. Abby Dalzim's Horrid Wilting, which is a great name for a spell. 8th level necromancy spell that saps moisture from anything inside a 30-foot cube. I'm guessing it does more than just sapping moisture if it's an 8th level spell. That sounds like a cantrip, the way they've described it.
Yeah, it includes the moisture in your body.
Yeah, that is.
Yes.
Which is horrific.
Indeed.
Yeah. It's funny or
Which
horrific.
I hope they do something fun with it more than just, you do necrotic damage.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Aura of Evasion. So an aura that grants all allies within it advantage on dexterity within its advantage of dexterity spells. What? Dexterity spells and reduces damage from effects that require dexterity saving throws.
Negates all damage on a success. That's...
You have a lot of features that on a 6. Oh yeah, no, you have a lot of features where when you're dodging things, like a rogue's got something. Yeah. So basically putting that into spell form. 7th level spell. That is pretty nice. But yeah, they've not given too much detail on what's in this book outside of... Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
I thought you'd have an issue with that spell being too powerful. That was my guess. I was wrong. I'm liking the sound of Arcane. It's nice to have an archer.
Let's talk these subclasses.
Needs fixing, does Arcane Archer.
Yeah, I think so. Again, what we're seeing here, though, is mostly a rehashing of subclasses. Obviously, we're bringing a lot of the ones that were missing from the core rules of the wizard, like the Conjurer, the Enchanter, the Transmuter, the Necromancer, in, which is good. Hexblade, obviously, making return. The Arcana domain for clerics, the Arcane Archer for fighters, they're all returning subclasses. The Tattooed Warrior, I think, is brand new.
I'm sorry. I've never heard of a more toxic male-sounding subclass. Tattooed Warrior.
Welcome to the Tattooed Warrior podcast.
I'm sorry.
I was wondering, I was like, I don't see that, but now when you said it like
Yeah,
that, Callum, I was
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I see the point. Fair point, Anina.
Yeah.
Fair point.
It's,
Yeah.
the carnivore diet and I don't know, insert other ridiculous things.
Punching people and drinking raw
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you got the Ancestral Sorcery as well, which I think is also brand new.
Ancestral sorcery. How is that different from
But
sorcery?
yeah, it was in the playtest material a while back, I think. Which I can't quite recall that one. Yeah, I can't quite recall that one for whatever reason. Arcane subclasses, here we are. I found it on my D&D Beyond. Arcane Archer was in there, Tattooed Warriors in there, Conjurer Wizards in there, Necromancer Wizards in there, Enchanter Wizards in there. Oh, the Ancestral Sorcerer, actually, they didn't put it in there.
Oh, look at it, 26th of the 6th, I think it came.
Oh, maybe it was in the one before then, the Apocalyptic subclasses. Oh, hang on. No, there was an update and then there was the core one. Sorry. Yes, I was looking at the wrong one. You're right. So obviously they were pretty happy with it then on the first run through, which is probably why I've forgotten about it then, because it's Ancestral Sorcerer. So the idea is that it comes from a specific ancestor who wielded magical power. So it's...
How is it different from many previous things? See what I mean?
I think the Sorcerer in general is, it could be from your bloodline, it could be from you stepped into some wild magic and something happened. Yeah. It's more general. With the Ancestral Sorcerer, they're trying to
what the Ancestral thing gives them. It has to give something more than just... What's the special bit?
Gives you some knowledge boosts, some specific spells.
Okay.
They're basically like a spirit guide to you that gives you a bunch of extra things. Okay. So got you.
Yeah, it's
you get advantage on things and stuff like that, and you're quite good at counter spelling, if I recall.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was that one. Cool. So yeah, more themed books like this. Yes, please. Wizards of the Coast, I think. What do you guys think in terms of the overall concept of the book?
I like that I'm encouraged by the fact that it's 2 books, because
Me too.
There is a lot of stuff in it that is, as we say, it is unearthed arcana, is stuff that we have isn't necessarily new in there. So the fact that it's 2 books at least makes me think that there's not too much. It's not all padding.
Yeah.
Makes me think the adventure is nice and meaty. That there's it's a good long adventure. Sinketh teeth into. I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued.
It's interesting because the Arcana Unleashed book, the source book, the gameplay expansion, that's coming in apparently at $50, which probably is going to translate to about $35-40 here, £40 here, which puts it in one of the thicker books, because they have got varied pricing now on books. The thinner ones are cheaper. I'm really intrigued. Say again, sorry.
They're usually around 20, the thinner ones. 20, 25?
Yeah, 20, 25, something like that, yeah. So I'm intrigued as to what else is going to be in here, because either it's going to be a shit ton of spells, which is a possibility, and that's not a bad thing. I think a book of spells, there was a 3rd edition book that was basically just a book of spells, and that was very cool. So I wouldn't be too sad if we got 100 pages of more spells. Like, I'd be pretty happy with that. Aside from spells, like feats tend not to take up much in terms of page count. They normally take up maybe about 10 pages in a source book. You got your subclasses, they normally a page or 2 each. Well, backgrounds are a quarter of a page.
Subclasses, if there was more, you'd think, in the pre-publishing, they'd probably...
Yeah, but that looks about the sort of standard amount as well of what you get in a source book as well.
Surprise, I've been a page, here's 5 more.
So that makes me wonder, like, what else is going to be in there? Because, to me, that's looking like a 100-page book so far, from what they've released. And that's probably being quite generous in page count there in terms of what they've put in here. So, what I'm really curious about is what else they're putting in here. Oh, a new magic item system, they said here, actually. I missed that bit. New magic item system that allows items to grow in power.
That'll be what takes up
It's
space.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued
Okay.
by
So magic items,
becoming
spells,
more
and
powerful. I am, because that's not a mechanic I've seen often.
it was done in the Wildmount
Oh.
book, the Critical Role campaign setting book.
Yes.
With the vestiges.
I've
I think
only
they
been
did.
I've only experienced it as homebrew.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nice to have, like, it's when you put the word new
Mhm.
and system
Yeah.
into a press release for a book, I'm like, okay, I'm in. So yeah, that book is probably the one I am most excited about, actually, out of these releases. But we also have the accompanying Deadfall, which, look at that alt cover as well. Look
Yeah.
at that
Oh.
beauty.
That looks like it
Look
was
at it.
carved in a temple. Yeah.
So
don't
excited for
press
this.
that
So this
star.
is a
Don't press it. The temple. Don't press it.
This is the first full-length adventure, apparently, for D&D 5.5, because we haven't had one yet.
Oh.
We're 18 months in since the Player's Handbook came out, and we've not had a full hardcover adventure until 2 years after the Player's Handbook release, which is interesting. But this is being dubbed as the ultimate Red Wizards adventure, covering a new wizard war, as well as a deep dive into Thay. I'm so excited.
That means there's other types of wizards in here as well, which intrigues me. I want to see what the other types.
Wizard factions.
Yeah. I think this one is exciting me the most because it's a new adventure, I think.
Sure.
But again, to play this, you likely need the other books, so they're clever. So, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. Maybe. I suppose it would depend on what the new...
but, you know, when you're like,
Greatly benefit from.
benefit hugely from, enhance a lot, having the...
Yeah. It'll be interesting, because I think it depends ultimately on what the new management want to do, because 5th edition so far have been pretty... They try to avoid being like, here's something you need that's not in a core rulebook. They really try and dance around it if they can help it. Which I think is the right thing for the consumer. But I don't know how much they'll... I think, like, they have in some books gone, this is in this book, but it's normally in a kind of, this is a nice to have. You don't need it, but if you've got it, you can learn more in this book. They do that sometimes.
If you want one feat, one spell, you can find it and add it, and then decide if you buy the full book or not. And the answer is usually yes, with this kind of paraphernalia anyway. I.e. my IKEA bookshelf that's gonna collapse any day now from the weight of the D&D books.
Yeah.
I am excited for this adventure book, but I think when it comes to, I'll always be more excited for rule books because I can plug those into my games straight away, as opposed to just looking wistfully over at a campaign book on a shelf going, one day, you and I.
Honestly, the truth of the matter is that was one of the main reasons why I decided to start pro DMing, because I had all of the adventure books that I was like, I'm never going to play these. It wasn't so much that. I mean, that is obviously an added bonus too. But it was more... when I started doing it, it was at the tail end of 2014 rule set. And I'd bought every single hardcover adventure up until that point, and I had played 2 of them. And I was like, yeah, if at the rate that it's going, at the current pace, like, I'll be lucky if I've played half of them before I die. Yeah. So I think I need to, because
that you both did is that you did marry someone that usually I'll know if something's out because it's already on my bookshelf. So that's
right.
That's just a pro tip from me. He's calmed down now, thankfully. He hasn't touched the... I think I'll have to start buying the 5.5 ones. But at one point it was like, they're just breeding in my flat. I know.
For what it's worth, the challenge wasn't access to the books. I had the books. It was just like, they're just never going to get used. Like, never going to get used. Yeah. But yeah, so I think I agree with you, Callum. I'm more excited though I am very excited for Deadfall. And it's such a cool name as well. I am very excited for this. Give me Red Wizards. Give me an adventure about Red Wizards. Give me Fae. Yes, I'm here for it.
I like a high magic wielding villain. I do.
Right.
I do.
And a Lich is my favourite monster too. So give me a big bad Lich, Vecna, Saztam, either or, I'm going to be happy. But I think I am more excited for the Arcana Unleashed book, the rule book, than I am the adventure. Interestingly as well, coming in at $30. So this is going to be like 100 to 150 page probably adventure, which is probably not a bad thing, to be honest. But again, because they're separating books out, which I do think, I'm with you on this, Callum, I think it's the right thing. I think separating out rules from adventure, it was the one thing I didn't like about 5th edition, was how they smushed it all together. And the fact they're separating that out again, I think is completely the right move. Because Out of the Abyss, for example, is both campaign and your Underdark sourcebook. And I don't like the two being enmeshed like that. Like, I want them separate. So then at least if I don't plan on running the adventure at any point, I can just not buy the adventure, but still get all of the rules, which I think is better for the consumer anyway. But yeah.
You could always do it with the... I'm glad we've got two different covers here for this, but it creates the third option of having, if you're wanting the collector's edition, a combined tome.
Omnibus.
With the ultimate cover.
Yeah, the omnibus.
Deluxe. Yeah, the omnibus. Yeah. Which I think what you'll end up getting is you'll get a collector's box set. That's what Hasbro should be doing.
Please. Just for
with different covers again. Let's say that's undermonetized. Hasbro, what are you talking about? All right. So that's what we know. A few days ago. Well, yes. Indeed.
We spoke too soon.
Indeed. So that's what we know about the upcoming releases, which is all very interesting. Have we got more Arcana Unleashed artwork here? Is that what they're saying here?
Yeah.
Oh, we've seen that one.
Yes, yeah.
Seen that one.
That's cute.
Seen that one. Oh, I think this is all just the same.
Fayish.
Oh. Yeah, it's all taken a while to load, but it's all the same from the looks of things of what we've already seen. So yeah, any thoughts generally on the release slate here?
Generally very excited.
What do you reckon with it being about 100 or so page adventure, what level span do you reckon that might that be?
Well, let's assume Saztam's your big bad.
They have 7
because I feel like if you're going to do a Red Wizards adventure, you can't really not have Saztam. And the great thing about Saztam is it's not gonna ruin your continuity because he's a Lich. So if you kill him, he comes back anyway. So they're not going to be like how they have in some adventures where it's we're going to mention the big bad, but you're never going to fight him because we don't want to kill him off in the continuity, which they have done a few times, which sucked ass. So a Lich is challenge rating. What are we at? Challenge rating 21. So I reckon this is probably going to be... I could see this being a 1 to 15.
They have 7th level new spells that are coming out. So whether it's from level 1...
Yeah, I think you're either going to end up being level 1 to 15 or 5 to 15.
Yeah, I think 5 to 15 is probably more. Fitting enough story into 100 pages.
Because you're in the minority of liking levels 1 and 2. Yeah,
I am.
So I think they might jump to 5.
And what's annoying me is even Wizards of the Coast are now starting to be like, yeah, level 1 and 2, don't play that. Just jump straight to 3. Then make level 1 and 2 better.
Let's get you some cool abilities.
But so Horde of the Dragon Queen, or rather Rise of Tiamat, the first book, Horde of the Dragon Queen, was 93 pages, and Rise of Tiamat was 94 pages. So that's only 200 pages. And that was 1 to 15 as well. And you take out, you've got repeats of stat blocks and things in both of those books. So you're probably looking at about 180 pages, I reckon, all in, of adventure. So it's not outside the realms of possibility, I don't think. It depends on how they actually structure it and how much detail they go into on things and how much they lean into, as I was saying, like, you can learn more about Waterdeep in Waterdeep Dragon Heist and things like that, so as to not repeat print stuff. But whether or not they do that, because it's easier for them to just reprint 10 pages of a Waterdeep Gazetteer and go, there you go. No work required, we just change the layout and put some new artwork in there. Yeah.
But to be fair,
so
if
I don't know.
People are joining in to D&D constantly. That might not even be a. You can't expect too much of people to know everything. See what I mean? So I think there's a hard balance to be like, you D&D, let's just get straight into it, and someone who's like, do what?
But I do wonder about this framing of expansions.
Yeah.
Because that changes things slightly. Because it's like, hey, if you want to play Waterdeep stuff, you need the Waterdeep expansion. If you want to play Ravenloft, you need the Ravenloft expansion. And this book here is tailored for you to have the Ravenloft, like what you were saying with Deadfall. This is tailored for you to have the Ravenloft expansion because you put the Ravenloft logo on it. So you need the Ravenloft core book. And they could, which, from a consumer point, I'm not a fan of. From a, like, ease of use standpoint, I am a fan of. Because it's, okay, we're playing Deadfall, so all of your character options are obviously core rules and Arcana Unleashed. Done. No discussion required. Yeah, it does. But it then does also mean that if you buy Deadfall and you don't have Arcana Unleashed, then now you also have to buy Arcana Unleashed Psych, which is not...
do something like that.
Of course not. Of course not.
No.
I'll tell you, I am excited for hopefully in that book, lots and lots of stat blocks for different types of magic casters and magical foes to go up against, because there's only so many times I can rehash the Archmage and put a bit of flavour on there, and
I suppose I'll I suppose I'll swap out Burning Hands for Cone of Cold again.
They're not
things like that.
Gloves. Okay. I just conveniently use the same stuff.
But they are getting good. They are getting good with the flavours of stat blocks as well.
Yeah.
I will say. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do really like the direction generally on a macro level that they're taking everything with 2024. I might not necessarily agree with all of their design decisions on some things, werewolves, but generally I think it's all going in the direction that I like and was hoping for, which is good, certainly on the releases. Yes, shall we briefly, I know we've gone slightly over here, but shall we briefly touch, because I don't think it will take us too long, but shall we briefly touch on 5.5 / D&D 2024 and the change here?
I'm glad for the clarity.
Yeah, I think...
Shall we put it?
We can't keep calling it a time that has passed by more than 10 years.
Yeah, it was never going to be D&D 2024 forever.
Oh,
also, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it's
5e 2024 just sounds a bit too much a disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand why it's 5.5. Why the point? Why isn't it 6? Because
it's not different enough to be 6.
It's not different enough to be fair.
Is
5th edition your first edition, Anina?
3.5. I've told you this so many times.
No, I know, but the reason I asked was because
3.5.
like 3rd edition and 4th edition and 5th edition are so very different from one another.
3.5. Then loads of homebrew, other systems, then 5.
Because 3.5 and 3rd edition are not that different from one another. It was basically errata, basically, which in many ways is what a lot of the criticism for the new books has been, is that it feels like errata in a lot of senses, which I agree with that assessment, to be honest. That being said, it's all very good, and the quality of life improvements that it brings are all very good. But yeah, I don't think when people were saying, "Oh, it's 6th edition," I was like, "No, it's nowhere close to being a 5th edition." There's no real new mechanics in here. There's just everything works the same. It's just that character options have changed.
Yeah, I think why am I calling it 6 is just for ease of language, really, because there's people who are like, "No, I know all the editions. I know exactly how they differ from each other," and then there's people a bit like me who's, "Oh, I'm playing 3, 4, 5. Now I'm playing 5. Now I'm playing this," and it's, I know they're different. I know how they play differently, but I'm not comparing them to other editions as much, if that makes sense. I'm not constantly going, "This is how it differs from 3.5. I'm just playing. Yeah, I'm doing some comparison to 5.5 to 5, but I'm not scrutinizing it to the degree.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Maybe because I'm not. Even when I DM, it is more about the narrative, and it will take me, I think, quite a long time to get my head around the sort of stat side of it. I would take a stat from a stat book, or ask my friends who love making them, and I go, make me something jazzy. You know what I mean? And that's really fun to use someone else's and be like, "You're good at this, make it jazzy, surprise me." You know what I mean? I think it's also that. So if someone's, "I'll just call it 6," they're probably coming from my side of things.
Yeah, it's, I guess, think of it as like a different operating system on a computer, I suppose, in many ways, if that helps.
Yeah,
because you're...
I understand it versus, but I'm also not that interested.
Sure.
Before lynch mob comes for me. Yeah, I mean, I love it.
It's like being a large patch on a video game. You're like, sure.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, and I was thinking about this, right? Because the feeling has been, from many people, and I do agree, is that Hasbro are very happy with 5th edition. 4th edition was Hasbro's first attempt, and it didn't go very well. 5th edition is Hasbro's second attempt, and it's gone very well. I think Hasbro, as a company, as opposed to Wizards of the Coast, are much more inclined for, okay, we've got our game, now we iterate, as opposed to whole new editions. What is interesting is, and I'm putting far too much weight on this, really, if I'm honest, but what's interesting is going with 5.5 does make me wonder if they were to do another update. Would they do another update? And if they did do another update, 5.75?
Yes.
Like, where are we going? Where are we going here?
No, I'm like, now I have an issue. If it's 5.6,
now it's 6th edition.
5.7, 5.7 and 3/4, 5.5. Please.
Ultimately,
5.5.
Ultimately, Hasbro are a company where they won't start flogging a new dead horse until the last one has definitely stopped twitching.
Right. And I think they will flog the 5th edition horse for as long as they possibly can. But it does make you wonder whether or not... I think it opens up the conversation of, is 6th edition even a possibility in the current landscape?
Well, we look back to 1 D&D, there was already an attempt to get rid of editions.
Yeah.
The initial view for 5th edition was that it would be evolution, it would evolve and be modular, so that they could just keep updating this 1 D&D edition. And I suppose one of the reasons was to avoid conversations like this.
Indeed, and it's worth pointing out that Hasbro have never put the word edition on any of their D&D books, I don't believe. I don't think it was on the 4th edition books. He's never been on the 5th edition books. They've never put it, certainly not on the covers. I don't think it's even
I think that makes
in
it
their
confusing
disclaimers.
for people who start, because I'm going to be teaching someone to play D&D, and they're like, I bought the books, and I was like, which edition is it? That was an entire mental breakdown for them. They're like, I don't know. Here's the cover, and I'm like, okay, show me the cover. I can figure it out, because I need to know which one am I teaching you from the start.
Hasbro would absolutely hate it if you accidentally had to buy twice as many of their books.
I'm sure they wouldn't hate it, but you don't want to stop. You don't want anyone with anywhere similar personality type to me. Like, once I rage quit, that's it. And something like that, if you make it too difficult. Like, my husband loves Soul Reaver games. Loves it. You think I would as well? Gothic, vampires. Do not tell me, game, that I've saved. If it hasn't saved the game. I rage quit that so hard years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a monthly basis. My husband's like, how about you try Soul Reaver again? And I'm like, no, I refuse. It's vampires, so I refuse to. I am too angry still. You are lying to me. Don't tell me I've saved. I've pressed save. It says you have saved game. I didn't know you had to save while I'm standing on my head under the moonlight under specific... No. You see my point?
Standing on one leg.
Standing on one leg.
Yeah.
And if a cow is whistling in the north, then they'll save the game.
I think, though, that Hasbro don't want people talking about editions. Though. That's the whole point, though. They don't want the first question to be, which edition did you buy? They don't want those conversations happening.
Then there's a big problem with... It's going to become really confusing for someone who starts from scratch now.
Oh, completely.
And that's
completely.
The whole point. It's like, that's that ease of use.
But what Hasbro wants...
That's that user experience question.
But this is where Hasbro struggle all the time. Because Hasbro want... In an ideal world, what Hasbro wants is, I bought the player's handbook.
Yeah.
Great. That's it. End of conversation. They don't want all of this kind of... Was it the 5.5 one? Was it the 5e one? Was it the 4th edition one? Was it 3rd edition or 3.5? Or they don't want any of that. They just want, I picked up my D&D player's handbook.
So externalize
but
your
I think
work
one of
to the...
There's the practical conversation of things like, you do need to know what edition you're playing if the rules change, because we have paper format as well as digital. I know Hasbro's big dream was for us to all be on a digital format where they can just change the rules and put them in as they go along. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where I have a physical rule book. I need to know whether it's the right one.
Thing is, and I think this is obviously a conversation for another episode at some point, but the Hasbro's plan for D&D is on a massive pivot now.
Yeah.
Because Project Sigil failed.
Yeah.
Because the management team at the time, most of them now all gone, was very much, if you looked at their CVs, they were all from like digital gaming backgrounds and things like that, which is still some of that there, but not to the same degree. There was obviously a big plan to try and get everybody onto D&D Beyond and have that be the way to play D&D. And with the OGL thing going down the way it did, Project Sigil not taking off the way that it did because they rushed it out of the gate in the end, because they'd invested so many millions of dollars into it, it became very apparent really before 5.5 was even out the door that that whole digital strategy wasn't going to pan out how they wanted it to, and which I say good, frankly, because I don't think their overall strategy was...
Theatre's never going to die when movies exist. It's the same.
Right. Exactly. It's not a question of or, it's a question of and.
Exactly. It's always...
And D&D is in person, first and foremost, and there will always be people that will play it in person and want to play it in person. So you can't really get rid of the paper format of it. That's part of the joy of it. Like, I run almost all of my games online now, but I still begrudge reading things on D&D Beyond whilst I'm running the game. I'd rather have the book in front of me where I can flick through, and because to me that's part of the hobby, is the tactility of it.
Telling people no, you can't meet up in person. We're all going to sit at the table with laptops.
Remember how fun those lockdown parties were? Let's go back.
I miss those online quizzes.
But it's worth saying, it is worth saying that the D&D 2024/5e/1 D&D project was cooked up during COVID.
Yeah.
Like, it's that was the context of the time. And I think at that time, we didn't even know whether or not everybody's talking about the new normal.
Yeah.
We never knew whether or not it was ever going to end.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it, I think, that just got a little bit out of hand.
Look, one of the few things that got very introverted, nerdy people to socialise. Let's not take the socialising out of it. And I include myself in that group, definitely.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm a professional extrovert. That's all I am.
You pay you to be extrovert.
Yeah.
It's called being an actor.
Extrovert for pay, just as a t-shirt.
Exactly. It's like to socialise, insert pound coin, I don't know. But yeah, that would be nice, actually.
Yeah, that would. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the change to 5.5 is a good thing, because the other thing was that we were having a little bit of a fractured language use.
Yeah.
Around. Some people calling it 2024, some people call it 5.5, some people calling it 5.2 because of the system reference document being 5.2.
The newer or older,
it got really confusing.
Even I get confused.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
yeah. And at least now you can say 5e, 5.5, and it's so much easier just in shorthand. Just be like, yeah, we're playing 5.5. And yeah. Because the thing is, as well, where the comparison, and I think people calling it 5.5 was right to begin with, because the comparison to 3rd edition and 3.5 is pretty much on the nose. Because I remember playing, I only had the 3.5 core rulebooks, and I was playing with many players at my tables that had just the 3rd edition 3.0 ones. And we never had any problems with compatibility. It was like, yeah, that works. If anything, 3.0 was more compatible with 3.5 than 5th edition is with 5.5, because things were so similar. But you could run 3rd edition adventures whether you were running 3.5 or 3.0. So that works as well, I think, in terms of that conversation generally at tables too, pretty well. But I thought it was worth covering because this D&D 2024 is over. That's going to be my thumbnail, I think, my clickbait thumbnail. D&D 2024 is over. It's all hail 5.5.
The king is dead. Long live the king and a half.
Yeah, exactly. The king with a haircut.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts before we go?
I'm looking forward to 2026 to get all of these new stat block subclasses, of which ones are the ones that are new. That is.
I want to see the occult
and
horror, because I don't think we've not seen that in a while. I think it's only been third-party content that's done that style.
Yeah, and the thing is, with cultists, is there's a lot of occult horror and things like that. There's a lot of it baked into D&D, where they're like, oh, there's cults, but they don't really explore the occult horror bit of the cults. They just go, that's cultists, go kill. Yeah. And
they've got robes, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got robes and daggers.
What more do you want?
He's wearing a hood. Kill
no,
now.
That's a rogue.
That dagger's got too many curves for my liking. Positively wiggly.
Look, they've arranged rocks in a formation.
Yeah, but no, I think a culty horror would be good. I'll be interested to see.
I'll be interested to see. That can sound really. The amount of times I can finish to be like something, an ancient spell or a spell.
You bilingual people, how I envy thee.
When my brain just reading out.
Well, sometimes I'm like, right. I really need to do the washing, and you know what really annoys me? Yeah.
Oh, it sounds so mystic.
Yeah. Could actually get the actual national epic out, which is in Finnish prose. I was so inclined. It's super fancy. Ye olde Finnish. Yes, it exists.
Ye olde. Yeah, but I am quite intrigued as to what this other book is going to be. I think with the lineup being what it is, I think I'd be a bit disappointed if it was Dark Sun. I'm just going to put it out there.
Disappointed with Dark Sun.
If it was Dark Sun. With the lineup for this year, I'd be a bit like, we got Ravenloft setting book, we got Magic gameplay expansion. Then we got a magic adventure. Darkson, do I want another campaign setting book? 2 in 1 year.
I disagree with you. I think I do. I do want to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
What, a new
Well,
world, new possibilities. Yes.
The
True,
cynic
true.
in me thinks that the reason they've done that, because obviously you've got winter at the beginning and end of the roadmap, is that the only reason winter is actually shown there at all is because Season of Champions is going to stretch into winter, and that to be announced is literally going to be the start of the next roadmap, and that they don't know what.
No.
I don't know yet.
What? There's no book called.
Well, no, I think they must, because it takes them about a couple of years.
Yeah.
It does take them about a couple of years to do a book.
But I don't know whether they necessarily know what's going in that slot yet, is what I mean.
Right, they've got a couple of projects on the line, and they're like,
yeah.
Do we go Dark Sun? Do we go...
Type faster.
Whatever.
To there. Type faster. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, good times. But yeah, no, it'll be good to see. It'll be good to see. But that is our roadmap for 2026. So some fun stuff ahead. I'm sure more details will come out, and we'll be covering it on the Bardic Quest Talk Show here. So if you haven't subscribed and liked, then do that thing. And of course, obviously, the main point of this channel is our glorious actual play, which is still going strong, with ourselves as well as others joining us for those as well. So if you like a little bit of D&D actual play, then hit that subscribe button as well, and keep coming back, and we will try and entertain you as best we can. We will entertain you. You will be entertained. All right, thank you for joining us, folks, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.